Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Monday, June 23rd, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Donald Trump has done a number of anti-black things, yet why are black conservatives, MAGA blacks, why are they so quiet, saying literally nothing about these actions? We'll talk to conservative radio host Shelley Wynter about what's going on. While Target remains on the boycott list, the National Baptist Convention, they are cashing in a $300,000 check from the retailer along with 3 other Baptist groups. I will break down to you why what they're doing is shameful and despicable. Plus, we'll have a recap of the Virginia Democrats Commonwealth Gala, which took place on Saturday. Lots for us to unpack. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Well, you've got, your black conservatives are always saying about other black folks that, oh, you're still on the plantation. It's always the plantation language they use. And I'm like, okay, great. So if you're going to support a Republican, support a conservative, that's fine. But are you going to also say anything where they are anti-black with their agenda? The reality is that Donald Trump's agenda thus far has been extremely anti-black with a number of initiatives that he has announced. I'm not talking just about his attacks on DEI. I'm talking about very clearly a variety of anti-black positions that he has taken. Shelley Wynter, conservative radio talk show host in Atlanta, he supported Donald Trump. He participated in it was a barbershop conversation, I think, in Atlanta. He joins us right now. Shelley, glad to have you here. First question, last week, Juneteenth, of course, took place last week. And if I recall correctly, well, we actually see it, Donald Trump in his so-called platinum plan the first time, he actually touted making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Yet this Juneteenth, his White House decided to pretty much ignore Juneteenth. Carolyn Levitt was pretty dismissive about it. We're going to have, we have that ready. Go ahead and play it.
One more on Juneteenth. Does the president plan to commemorate the holiday today or make any comment on it?
I'm not tracking his signature on a proclamation today. I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now. Nikki, go ahead.
Actually, that was my question. Will he plan to mark Juneteenth in any way, either today or with an event later on, maybe next week?
Sure. I just answered that question for you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Caroline.
Okay, all right then. And then, of course, Trump later released a post on Truth Social saying that too many non-working holidays in America. It's costing our country billions of dollars to keep all these businesses closed, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, he dropped that on Juneteenth. So, Shelley, here's the question. Was he lying before, or is this the real now? Because before, in his so-called platinum plan, he was talking about, oh, let's make Juneteenth a national holiday. What happened?
I don't think anything happened, Roland. I think, well, first of all, thanks for having me. Second of all, Friday on my show, I opened my show with a very heated rant as to how I disagreed fundamentally, totally opposed what he tweeted out. I even went on to say that this is the kind of thing that frustrates me about him because it's unnecessary conversations that he forces us to have because these are just dumb things. What I think happened, and I'm not defending at all, what I think happened was I know there's a number of African-American conservatives out there on YouTube and in other places. I saw Wesley Hunt, Congressman Wesley Hunt, who I respect and love a lot and agree with on 99.9% of everything, was on Bill Maher this past Friday, and he said it wasn't a holiday that he terribly cared about. I just think
hold on 1 second. Wesley Hunt said it was or wasn't?
Wasn't. It's not the biggest thing in his life. He's not really concerned one way or the other.
So let's be honest. So you're saying that a Texas congressman, a black man from Texas.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, Roland, that has nothing to do with it. The man has a point.
Oh, no. Allow me to finish.
Hold on.
Shelley,
you asked me a question. Can I answer the question?
One second. I'm going to let you finish, but I'm going to make this point, which speaks to your point. So you're telling me a black man from Texas, who's a member of Congress, it is blowing off a holiday that actually was first a state holiday in the same state of Texas.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And I have no problems with that. I have no problem. I would have a debate. I'll have a debate with anybody as to the number of federal holidays we have. Is it too many? Do we need more or whatever? I think that's a different debate to have.
So when he said that he was going to make it a federal holiday, do you think that was BS?
No, I think he was honest about it because the Platinum Plan was brought to him by African Americans within his orbit who was on his team. So I think it was legitimate. Everything in the Platinum Plan was legitimate. He wanted to do them. Trump's he's a pragmatist. He doesn't necessarily have a policy bone. He has policies or principles that he stands on, but for the most part, he listens to most people every other president has.
So you actually thought the Platinum Plan is legitimate?
Absolutely, it was legitimate.
That's interesting
ask
because
Ice Cube if it was legitimate.
Actually, it wasn't legitimate. But I don't have to ask Ice Cube.
How do you know what was?
Here's why.
How do you call something illegitimate that never got to the table?
Well, Shelley, here's why. Because first of all, he had the Platinum Plan initially when he ran for re-election and he lost. Then he issued another one when he ran again. And this is what the second one says. Grow minority-owned businesses with additional tax cuts to stimulate hiring and investment. Encouraging onshore. One second.
Hold on.
Shelley, I'm not done reading. Allow me to finish reading it. I'll let you respond. Hold on.
No, I don't. Shelley, one by one.
Shelley, no, Shelley. I'm going to read them. I'm going to read the 3 or 4, then let you respond.
No, read one by one.
No, Shelley. Shelley, you don't tell me how to host my show. Okay?
But I'm saying, but you're telling me how to answer a question.
Shelley, I'm reading what specific
type of one
thing.
To myself?
If you just, first of all, just
literally,
chill.
why do I do this to myself?
Shelley, if you just chill, let me finish the damn thing. You can answer. This is what he said. He said, under jobs, seek infrastructure funding that will lead to widespread growth in the annual $500 billion federal contracting opportunities. Grow minority-owned businesses with additional tax cuts to stimulate hiring and investment. And then it says, invest almost $20 billion toward broadband and internet access to create job opportunities. That's what he had in here. Now, his own administration is trying to get rid of the federal DBE program that actually speaks to the contracting. 1. 2, they actually, with Doge, cut the broadband money. So I'm confused. He issued a platinum plan saying I'm gonna do those things, but then he wants to get rid of those programs. Those two seem to be be contradicting one another.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not, sir. You know how? Because I don't, and most black business owners don't see themselves as doing business as minorities. They're doing business. So if you look at what Kelly Loeffler's doing at SBA, you will see 1 that you read and 3 that you read being activated right now.
Like what?
But if you're standing, hold on. Let me finish. If you're standing on the sidelines calling everyone a racist, you have no access to that money.
I didn't say racist.
Listen to me.
I didn't say racist.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
I didn't say racist.
Listen to me very clearly. Listen to me very clearly. Don't cut me off, brother.
I'm listening to you clearly, but I didn't say racist.
You're cutting me off. I didn't say you did. I said if anybody is.
Shelley, keep going.
Because your point was insinuating and implying it.
No, I didn't. So first of all, I don't insinuate. Whatever. I don't imply. I either say it or I don't.
Kelly Loeffler right now, the SBA, Small Business Administration, right now, as we speak, they're having meetings about number 1 that you read and number 3 that you read.
Really? They're having meetings about the contracting?
Dude, man.
No.
Dude,
Hold on.
Yes, about the contract.
Stop.
About grants, about grants. Also, what Biden never cut out was opportunity zones. That's still
I'm sorry. Hold up.
Still there.
Hold up. First of all, Shelley, you didn't answer the question. Donald Trump.
I didn't answer the question.
Shelley, Donald Trump's administration has a legal.
I answered the question.
Shelley,
continue to answer the question.
Shelley.
Dude,
Chill.
man,
Shelley,
like seriously,
Shelley,
I feel like I'm talking to my girl sometimes. Let me talk.
First of all, you ain't talking to the girl because she ain't smart as me.
I mean, I feel
so
like
here's
if
the
you
whole
don't
deal.
let me talk.
Shelley, let me say it again. The Donald Trump administration has put forth a filing in a court case, where they said they want to completely get rid of the $37 billion DBE program. So, how in the world, Shelley, I'm not done. How in the world can you expand opportunities in the what they list in the annual $500 billion? Shelley,
Roland,
excuse
by
me,
competing with
Shelley,
everybody else.
I'm not done, Shelley.
By competing,
Shelley, I'm not done,
sir.
Shelley,
You're a grown-ass man.
Shelley,
compete for the money, like everybody else.
Shelley, this is very simple.
Now let me finish.
Shelley,
let me finish.
First of all, I haven't finished, so therefore you're not going to finish. Let me say this, and then you're going to talk.
Okay.
You right here. He's talking about expanding opportunities.
I don't know why you keep cutting people off, though.
Shelley, I'm not cutting you off. I'm letting you talk, but can you please? You cut me off from asking a question. Now, Shelley, I'm not going to waste time going back and forth over asking a question. I'm going to ask it, then you can answer it. Now.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You have to give me permission to go ahead. It says you want to expand a program that you're actually cutting. You want to invest $20 billion in broadband that was already passed by Congress and signed into law by Biden that they cut. So how can you invest $20 billion in broadband, especially in rural areas, when Elon Musk, Doge, Trump, they cut it? Those two don't go together.
Okay, so I answered that. The first statement that you made, the first line, jobs. I answered that. I answered the tax cuts. I'm going to answer now, and then I'll get to the next question.
No. I asked you about broadband, not tax cuts. So answer the question that I asked, not what you want to ask. No, Shelley, I just asked you about broadband. I'm going to ask you again.
Asked me about tax
Shelley,
cuts
I'm going to ask
tax cuts.
Shelley, I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you again, Shelley.
Let me finish the answer to the first question,
I asked you about broadband. Answer the broadband question.
This is like arguing with my wife.
First of all, I don't care about your wife.
Yeah, but you can't. You don't let nobody talk. You're like a woman, man.
Can you answer? No, I'm not like a woman. I'm like a man, a black man who's asking a specific question, and you want to answer on your own terms. Answer the broadband question. How do you invest in broadband when you just cut it?
Because the money went to the states. Georgia has a huge spending in broadband. Brian Kemp won 2 elections against Stacey Abrams because of his investments in broadband. The money exists in the states. Now, let me go back to the tax cuts.
Well, what money? Did the money come from the federal government?
The federal money goes to the states. What they cut at the...
First of all, your Wi-Fi is not good, so you might want to get on Ethernet.
And now, because of the cuts.
Hold on, wait, one second. No. First of all, your video broke up. You said the money. What money did Doge? What broadband money did they cut? They cut the money that actually went to states.
And if you look back now, go back to the big beautiful bill.
It hasn't passed.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. You asked me a question, man. Go back to the big, beautiful bill, and you'll see money's in there for broadband for rural areas. And now what we have to do as black businesses is compete for those contracts.
So they
which is completely...
So they cut the broad. So Shelley, I just want to be clear.
Time for this. I really don't. I got a big show to do tonight. I got war going on.
I'm confused, Shelley.
I don't really have time for this, bro.
They cut.
This is childish.
Shelley, I'm confused.
I'm talking and you cut me off.
Shelley, no, Shelley. I want you to clarify something.
No, it's dumb, man.
Shelley,
it's dumb. I just answered your question.
I need you to clarify something. They cut the broadband money that was Shelley, let me finish. They cut the broadband money that was already passed, and they gonna put the money back in?
No, I didn't say that. What I said was broadband monies. They're not cutting broadband from rural areas. a lot of the broadband money that Doge cut was from the previous administration because it was too much. So that's why they cut it back, and it's now in a big, beautiful bill. There's monies in a big, beautiful bill, which is why a lot of conservatives like myself are against this bill, because it still has the same level of spending that Biden had spending in his administration. And Republicans ran on cutting spending, which is why so many of us are against this big, beautiful bill, because the spending levels are still there, inclusive of broadband. Now, let's go to the tax cuts that you mentioned, because you mentioned that.
First of all, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Right. So the tax cuts. Now, in the tax cuts that we're trying to get passed, extending the Trump tax cuts from 2017, that does help black businesses.
How?
Because if tax cuts are in there for capital gains, which helps every single day trader out there, and I know thousands of them. As a matter of fact, Earn Your Leisure is getting ready to come to Atlanta again in the next couple of weeks, and all of those people trade. That's capital gains savings.
Day traders are not black businesses, but go ahead.
What I mean by people that trade, you know what I mean?
No, you say black businesses.
I mean by capital gains.
I just want to be clear.
Exactly
no,
what I'm
you
talking
say
about.
black businesses.
Capital gains cuts just does impact small businesses, especially small businesses. The corporate tax, sales tax impacts small businesses. If you're a black business and they have tax cuts, and it impacts your business, it impacts your business even more, because more of your income is going out to the federal government. So if you can save that money and put it towards the growth of your business, that benefits you.
So how do you grow a business if you can't get federal contracts? Because last year under Biden-Harris,
not everybody's looking for federal contracts. Roland. Some people are just running a small business.
Excuse me, Shelley.
So here's the
Shelley,
trickery.
1 second, Shelley. Shelley, hold up. It's a fact. Shelley, it's a fact. Last year, there was a record $10 billion in federal contracts that went to black-owned businesses, okay?
Right.
Now, first of all, I'm not happy with less than 2%, but it's still a record of $10 billion. Are you telling me, do you believe that under Trump, that number is going to increase, stay flat, or decrease?
Yes, I think it's going to increase. You know why? You know why? Because I just saw blue-collar wage growth go up 1.5% in 6 months.
Wages is not contracts. Wages are not contracts.
I didn't say it, sir. Sir, if you allow me to get a thought out, for real, dog.
But wages are not contracts.
I didn't say it was. I said you also told me during the election that Trump wouldn't be good for blue-collar workers. And I'm telling you.
Okay, yes, I'm specifically asking you about contracts.
Dog, I'm out, bro. I'm out.
I just asked you about contracts.
No sense, man. I'm not wasting my time.
But how are you bringing in blue-collar jobs? I'm asking about contracts, Shelley.
Because I'm making a point. I'm making a point that you all said blue-collar wages wouldn't go up. They've gone up 1.6% in 6 months. Now
so I'm telling grocery
you
prices.
Asked me a question. You asked me a question. You said, will black contracts go up, stay the same, or go down? I said they will go up. That's what I said.
Okay, you think they're going to go up? Okay, we're going to see if they go up. Now, Donald Trump called, so that was a settlement that was done in Lowndes County, Alabama, where black people had sewage backing up into their yards and houses. The settlement was announced to fix the problem. Donald Trump got rid of the settlement by calling it an illegal DEI settlement. Do black conservatives...
And you know who I blame for that? You know who I blame for that?
Sorry, hold on, I'm sorry.
I blame Scott Turner around him, and I blame some of the other African Americans around him. The problem that I have, is besides me and maybe 2 or 3 other African American conservatives who supported Trump, nobody is willing to challenge the administration when we disagree.
So you think that's wrong?
What?
So you believe that decision was a wrong decision?
Of course it was.
Got it.
I don't think it was racist. I don't think it was racist. I think it was more out of ignorance and not knowing what was really happening. That's what I think it was.
So let me ask you this question. There was also a lawsuit. There was a lawsuit. Hold on. No, Shelley, I'm going to ask you about Louisiana. There was a settlement in Louisiana. There was a lawsuit in Louisiana, lawsuit against petrochemical companies in what is called Cancer Alley. Largely African Americans were being impacted with cancer.
Yep, I'm familiar.
Hold up.
I'm familiar.
Trump pulled the DOJ out of that. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree with it. I also disagree with Republicans here in Georgia passing protecting one company, Monsanto. I also disagreed when Barack Obama pushed the Monsanto Protection Act. I agree with any political party that protects corporations, particularly in lawsuits. I agreed with Pigfoot. It took 25 years under Republicans and Democrats, and the black farmers still don't have their money. So understand who you're talking to, brother.
No. First of all, Shelley. Hold on, Shelley. First of all, let me be real clear. I specifically booked you to ask you the question. You gave the answer. Now I'm going to ask you this here. Why are so many of the black folks who take photos, they at the Black History Month reception in the White House?
I can't answer that. I'm not there.
I'm asking.
I can't answer that.
I'm asking you. Well, I'm asking you.
I can't answer that.
Have you and other black conservatives?
I don't know.
Shelley, can I answer the question? Shelley, can I ask the question? Shelley, can I ask the question?
I don't know.
Shelley, can I? First of all, I didn't finish the question. Shelley, I didn't finish the question. Can I finish the question?
Sure.
Thank you. So have you or others who supported Trump or black conservatives, have y'all said we need to have a conversation with these individuals to say, if you're going to be sitting next to him and having access to him, you need to be advocating on behalf of black folks. Have you or others done that?
We've had meetings here in Georgia around what's going on here in Georgia, not for the Louisiana case nor the Alabama case. I've spoken to people offline about it, but they're in Alabama. Now, the only voice that I have is my show. And I voiced my opinion when I disagree on my show. That is my obligation and my responsibility to voice my opinions on my show to my audience. And I'm especially responsible to voice my opinion when I disagree. But disagreement doesn't mean necessarily I'm not going to vote Republican. Disagreement means just that I'm voicing my opinion, telling you, yo, I disagree with this. We need to do something differently. So that's my superpower. Now, your superpower should be doing the same thing for the Democrats. But you can't sit up here and get mad at the Baptist Convention for taking 300 stacks from Target, and you took money from the Democrats.
Oh, hold on. You want to go there? Hold on. I'm sorry. What radio station are you on?
I'm on 95.5 WSB.
WSB. Did WSB take any political advertising money?
They took it from both sides.
Hold on 1 second. So WSB, hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
And I had
wait a minute, Shelley. Shelley, wait a minute.
Listen, dog.
Shelley, hold on, Shelley. No, Shelley. Take the, Shelley. No, that's all cute. That's all cute, Shelley. No, nice cute. See, here's where you're wrong. Here's where you're wrong, Shelley. No, Shelley. Here's the mistake. No, Shelley. Shelley, now you don't want me to finish. See, now you want to run your mouth. So you want to run your mouth. So let me clear. You work for a media company. Who owns WSB? Who's the parent company?
That's inconsequential.
Shelley, who is the parent company of WSB?
You look it up.
Shelley, who is the Shelley, you work for them.
Saying something I may not
Shelley, you can't tell me the company that owns WSB?
You can Google it. I'm just
Shelley, what is it? Is it Cox? Is it Sinclair? What is it?
I had everybody on my show.
Guess what? I had everybody on my show. Wait a minute. I had Mark. I had Philip.
Everybody on my show.
Again, no.
And I continue to have everybody on my show.
Your radio station
continue to have everybody on my show.
Political advertising money.
I gotta go do my show.
Yeah. Because you knew the ass whooping was coming. Yeah, because you knew what was coming, Shelley. Because I'm about to light that ass up. Shelley, your own company took advertising money. So you can't say, you can take money, but my company can't. Well, your side didn't offer money. Your side didn't offer money.
We didn't.
Hold up. Your side did not come to say, hey, we buy advertising. So guess what? That ain't on me. That ain't on me. You wrong, Shelley. Shelley, I have other black Republicans. I have other black Republicans on.
Democrats.
Shelley, you're not the only one. Shelley, Shelley, you brought up advertising. No, Shelley, you can't tell me anything because you brought up advertising and your company took money. Your company took. Shelley, I have Republicans on here. I have conservatives on here.
You have me on there. I'm talking about people running for office,
you're not the only one.
That's what I'm talking about.
Shelley, if they're scared to come on, that ain't my problem.
Come on, man.
Okay, Shelley, go do your little show.
The National Baptist Convention.
Hey, guess what? I'm going to deal with them. First of all, you don't know nothing about them. Yeah, peace out. But guess what? You full of shit, you know it. All right, let me explain something to y'all. Shelley's company, Shelley works for a radio station, WSB. See, I told y'all what happened. You don't know how to hit N, Shelley? Learn how to use FaceTime.
I don't know how to hit N. I don't see N.
All right, y'all, here's the whole deal. Shelley works for WSB. And see, I told y'all how this goes down. All the media company. See, Shelley don't want to own up that his salary is paid by advertising. Cox Media Group owns WSB Radio. So guess who gets political money? Cox, Sinclair, iHeart, Fox, Comcast, CNN, Nexstar, Tegna. All of these radio stations around America get political advertising money. All of these television stations get political advertising money. So Shelley got a problem that my media company got money from the Kamala campaign. Oh, so his company can get money, but my company can't. And y'all saw how he tried to switch it. I have different candidates on my... We've invited Republicans. They don't want to come on. We've invited black conservatives, and we've had them on. So y'all see how Shelley want to play this little cute little game. So what Shelley is saying is he don't like the fact, so he works for a white media company. He's an employee of a white media company. So Shelley is like, oh, so the white media companies, they can get political ad money, but he got a problem when this black-owned media company gets political ad money. Now y'all understand what the problem is when you black and you work in white media as opposed to being an owner in black media. I'm gonna bring in my panel right now because here's the reason it was other stuff I want to get to. But see, Shelley thought he can run my show. Now, player, you're gonna do the crap on your show. You don't do it on my show. Omekongo Domingo Sr., professorial lecturer, School of International Service, American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racism out of D.C., Killer Bethea Communication Strategies out of D.C., A. Scott Bolden, he's an attorney, also based out of D.C. Glad to have all three of y'all here. I'm gonna start with you, Omekongo. See, this is the thing that's funny. Now, you notice when I said, okay, Shelley, you disagreed on the Lowndes County decision, you disagreed on Juneteenth, and you disagreed on something else. But see, he kept running his mouth, and there was some other stuff I want to get to because I want to get his opinion on it. But when I asked the question, well, are you and others, well, not only in Georgia. Well, if you are a so-called black conservative voice and you care about black people, why did you not have the courage to call all these other black conservatives who run their mouths on social media and who appear at Trump rallies, all that? Why is it that he's not challenging them? See, this is what they do. Too many of these folk, they run and hide, and they want to claim they love black folk, but they really don't. Omekongo, go ahead.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And it's really important that people hear these voices because when you come down to it, you realize at the end of the day that they're really not about anything of real substance. And he tried to flip it by saying you weren't letting him finish, but you got a policy on this show. If you're talking BS, you don't really get a right to finish. And so when you're hearing these guys, Hunt, he don't care about Juneteenth, and they're like, these guys have no desire to take Trump to task. He's talking about, black people are just going to compete for these contracts. How are they going to compete when anything that they're doing is labeled automatically DEI and they're going to be disqualified? So you could run down the list at every single juncture and why the points that he was making are just not making any type of sense whatsoever. And he can throw out little things, I disagree with this. The bill hasn't been passed yet. Once the bill is passed, he's probably going to fall in line as well. But at the end of the day, these so-called black Republicans have no substance. They have no core. They are in it for the grift. And at the end, they are not willing to concede anything. So he can throw out little things here and there that haven't made a big splash, but really at the end of the day, they're going to be lockstep in line with Trump. And that's the only thing they got is being in lockstep in line with Trump. And if you lose that, they don't have anything else. And he clearly demonstrated that, which is why he all of a sudden had to go.
See, the thing that trips me out here, he goes, they gonna have to compete. Kelly, they compete right now. They actually compete for contracts. There's a reason why the DBE program was established. It was because of historic racism. It was because of lack of access to capital. So in Shelley's mind, oh no, all of these folks, they're on the same level. They now have to compete. So, and he actually thinks, Kelly, that if they are successful in getting rid of the DBE program, there's gonna be an increase in black contracts. Hee-haw.
I mean, I don't know his mental state by way of drugs, but it doesn't look good for our conservative friend. I can tell you up front that nothing he said to me made sense, especially when he was talking along the lines of competition and federal contracting competition. Why? Because like you said, these programs were in place to set us up to compete. It was never to set us up directly for a contract. That would be too much like right in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. It was set up so we could be in a place to compete, because before these programs were in place, we weren't on the table at all. There was barrier after obstacle to getting us to the space in which we could compete. Now it is back to square one as to where do we even get the contracts from? How do we find out what the contract is? There's nothing in place now for the visibility and the accessibility to find out what where these contracts are, how much they are, et cetera, et cetera. So as somebody who's been a federal contractor, who's been on federal contracts, who has seen her friends and other colleagues compete for these federal contracts, and how it is very disheartening to me to see other Black people assume that they just got them or we just got them because of the color of our skin. It has never been the case. That has never been the case. And it is just, he's just dumb. I mean, I was trying to make up something nice. No, he's just dumb.
Well, here's what's also amazing. And we're having some issue with Scott's signal, so we're trying to get that straight. The state of Georgia, Shelley loves talking about Brian Kemp, the state of Georgia. Last report, minorities in the state of Georgia only get 7.7% of state contracts.
Wow.
Now, Shelley, you Black conservative, how are you not asking Brian Kemp what the hell is going on? How is that in the state of Georgia, when it comes to state contracts, all minorities at 7.7%? Really? But see, those are the kind of questions that folk like Shelley don't want to ask, and they want to operate by, well, you got to compete. Well, it's amazing how folk know how to get contracts in Atlanta, but not the rest of the state.
That's real. That is so real.
Go ahead,
Congo, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned the 7.7%, because we also know that within that, that's not all Black people, and we're probably not number one. It could be, white women who are probably at the top of the list as it relates to that, as we see the other programs throughout this country that have been designed to, quote unquote, help minorities. And that statistic alone is an example of how so many of these guys are just willing to accept crumbs. They're willing to accept the smallest part of anything to say that, hey, Trump is good for us Black people. And that's where the problem comes in. There's no resistance, no demand for more. We're not talking about asking more. We're talking about demanding more, because we put in the work. We got to work twice as hard to be able to get half as much. When we come from our communities, as it relates to what Black women are doing in terms of being, the highest educated, the starting of businesses in terms of proportionality, they don't care about any of that. We don't have the complexion of connection. And so if he actually used his platform to break down those numbers even further, then he would have a case to talk to the governor of Georgia. He would have a case to bring to Trump about how these programs are not being replicated nationally in the way that they should be. But they don't want to do that. They are happy with crumbs on the table. They basically have this trickle-down economics type of mindset that they feel is going to just benefit all Black people when it's never been the case. And so if Shelley was serious, he would actually look at these numbers, break them down, and actually, if he actually broke them down in ways that you do, he would understand that they can't be defended in any way, shape, or form. But just like Trump, they're only interested in broad conversations, broad comments about the greatest this, the greatest that. But when you break it all down, you find at the end of the day, it's absolutely nonsense. And Shelley's just not honest enough with himself to really recognize that.
And also being loud, don't get it. Final point here, I'm going to go to you, Kelly, before I go to a break, go to my next guest. Here's what's also laughable. The Biden Congress passed a bill that put $42 billion into broadband. Shelley literally said, that's too much. Tell that to people in rural America. See, this is how nonsensical this is. So they slashed money for rural broadband, but Trump said we're going to invest money in rural broadband. And Shelley's like, oh, no, that's good because it was too much money going to rural broadband. You got to be kidding. Go ahead.
I mean, it looked like he needed some of that money for his own broadband for his connection, and I can't do too much because listen, I'm not one to talk because I've been on your show plenty of times. My broadband been like, so like I'm saying that very directly and very objectively. It just did not look good to be arguing about broadband while your broadband is out. In any event, when it comes to this administration and Republicans in general, what I've noticed is if it doesn't come out of their camp, they will try to flip it and reverse it so that it becomes part of their camp. And what do I mean by that? You just said the Biden administration invested billions of dollars into broadband. We talked about on your show how they invested billions of dollars into making sure that farmers were well and all these other categories of Black people that people don't really think about are well and as whole as they can be. It's not that Republicans necessarily disagree. And by Republicans, I mean Republicans, not MAGA, but conservatives don't necessarily disagree with that. They just don't like that it was under the Biden administration. They just don't like that it came from under Obama administration and those policies did not come out of a Republican presidency. So when he says that the money came out and now all of a sudden Trump is talking about it reinvesting, it's just about putting their name on something that is good because right now the stack of cards is completely against them as far as public opinion because they look like they're full of shit because they are.
Well, what I'm never going to do is allow somebody to think they're going to come on my show and then tell me how to run my show. You're not letting me finish. He spent more time filibustering than actually listening and then answering the question. But
I just asked for there to be a warning for the decibel levels because my guy,
that was just,
like there just needs to be a warning on our end to like lower our volume or something like, hey, warning this.
How about just answer the question? Ain't that hard? All right,
that too. I mean,
just
it's your show.
It's not that difficult for them to answer the question. It's just if you just be quiet, wait, I finish, you answer, don't lie. Don't lie, I don't interrupt. But if you lie, you're going to get interrupted. Let me go to a quick break. We come back, we're going to chat with about what's happening in Iran. They fired back at us after we bombed them. What the hell is Trump doing? I'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Dexter Jenkins is a faith-based financial mentor with more than 20 years in the financial services industry. He's passionate about helping families build generational wealth.
Even though I'm talking about things like prayer, I'm talking about things about reading the word, I'm talking about things like fellowship, I'm talking to members who are dealing with losing their houses, or I'm talking to members who, because of a lack of the handling their finances, they're working 2 and 3 jobs. And so what I'm finding is that they're not coming to church because they don't have a handle on their finances.
We're talking how to get wealthy through faith and our finances on the next Get Wealthy right here, only on Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
State of the Democratic Party.
What are the barriers preventing us from seeking true liberation and including more voices in that process?
They overlook Black organizers, young Black people, the work that we do all throughout the year. But then when the election cycle comes around, now all of a sudden they want to listen to us, listen in quotation marks. Now all of a sudden they want our labor and our contributions. And it's just like, for me, I'm at the point where it's like, no, we're not doing that.
Tune in only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr, a very different take on Juneteenth with the one and only Dr. Sunyata Ahmed. We'll explore the amazing foods, remedies, and rituals that are a part of our history and the Juneteenth holiday.
So it's our responsibility to return the healthier version to our folks instead of just the red liqueurs marketed to us, the red sodas and the other things. I mean, why does the Kool-Aid man have to sound like Louis Armstrong? He's like, oh yeah!
Yeah, right. An enlightening and tasty hour of the Black Table, only on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking faith, family, and fatherhood, from rebellion to rebuilding. Each of us has different things in our toolkit that we need to look at to determine how to establish a way forward. I know going forward is not easy, and most of you, like some people, don't like change. But as we talk about it, we grow together, we love together, we live together, and we laugh together. It gives us an opportunity to discover how to set the pace for what comes next for a healthy, happy, and whole life.
There has to be consistency in their lives that show that you care, for them to know that you're listening, and then that builds trust. And then once you build the trust, they'll begin to open up because you have become their safe place that they have been seeking.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Prouder.
Right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
Iran launched at least 10 missiles today targeting U.S. military bases in Qatar and Iraq, all of them intercepted with no injuries reported. Some reports say that they actually notified the Qataris, who notified the Trump administration this was happening, so it really was kind of just like an exercise. It marks Iran's direct retaliation for the massive U.S. bombing campaign, Operation Midnight Hammer, which struck 3 underground nuclear sites in Iran. Now, Trump called the strike a spectacular military success, saying the goal was to stop Iran from developing a nuclear bomb, but the Pentagon actually cannot say whether or not the enriched uranium was moved by Iran. Then Trump, of course, is now claiming there's a ceasefire. This is the tweet or whatever he sent out, some statement saying that there was a ceasefire now between the two. Come on, guys, can we show it, please? Thank you. Okay, so now he's claiming there's a ceasefire. Dr. Nola Haynes joins us right now. She, of course, works for Dr. Nola Haynes, working in foreign policy, of course, foreign policy expert, professor at Georgetown University. Glad to have you here. So walk us through this. What the heck is going on? Many people say that that Benjamin Netanyahu really pushed Trump into this. And we look, I mean, bottom line is we're entering Israel's war against Iran or against the whole Middle East.
Right. So it's definitely layered. It's not as simple as wanting to dismantle Iran's nuclear program. That's the starting point. You heard Trump talk about right after the bombing of the 3 facilities, talk about regime change. You're going to hear a lot about that because the larger goal is this. Bottom line, Israel wants to be the regional leader. And the way for that to happen is to change the leader of Iran by force, which historically never works. And the U.S. is banking on Israel gaining that power in the region so the U.S. can then have more control over gas and oil reserves. That's the big plan here. It's a lot larger than stopping their ability to make weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, but Iran then made a move, closing off a critical passageway that supplies 20% of the nation's oil.
Absolutely, which they said they were going to do from day one, the Strait of Hormuz. Every state has a lever to pull, and this is Iran's lever to pull, as they are one of the major gas and oil manufacturers around the world. And even though the U.S. doesn't necessarily deal directly with all of our oil and gas needs from Iran, it does cause a certain level of instability within the market. It causes a level of anxiety to which is going to trigger gas prices going up. Now, who it does directly affect is China. China actually gets more of its gas and oil from Iran than we do, but it has a domino effect. So Iran pulled that lever. And I just want to say, in terms of the so-called ceasefire, a few minutes later, Iran said that's false. So we have to be very careful about what the president says and how he says it, because we know that he tends to fabricate a lot of things. And this is a very dangerous time.
Yeah. He was the same one who fabricated that he was responsible for India and Pakistan having a truce, and they basically were like, nah, that ain't true. That's a lie. He's good, known for lying. But this does draw us into this war, and it's not like we're not now in it.
Right. So it does. And again, because this is the calculation of put Israel in as the regional leader, and then the U.S. will have access to gas and oil where you can knock out the middleman of all the surrounding Middle Eastern countries. I venture to guess that they would like a word. And then also, we still don't know how this is going to play out, because I have a hard time believing that Iran is just going to be okay taking all these L's. There's one thing about proportional responses, which is what we saw Iran do in Qatar. There's nothing new about that. There's nothing new about a country knowing that an attack is going to happen. It has to be proportionate to what the other state did to them. So that's within the realm of international relations. So that's one part of it. I have a hard time believing, after Israel killed some military leaders, aggressively bombed them, and then the U.S. coming behind that Iran is just going to be like, oh, okay, I'm cool, I'm good. I have a hard time believing that.
Well, absolutely. So what's next? What do you think happens next? And we've seen this one report that Iran has activated sales inside the U.S. Trump was like, don't you do that, or it's going to be even more attacks. I mean, look, it's going to be a back and forth.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a back and forth. And that's the thing. Like, it's going to be asymmetric. It's not going to be like a traditional kinetic, conventional engagement. It's going to be these asymmetrical attacks, perhaps cyber, perhaps terrorism. That's really hard to, that's a tough one, because you never know where a terrorist attack can come from. The only thing that I can say to people is that they want to be mindful of being in really big crowds. Other than that, it's really hard to tell where it's going to come from. And I've been seeing all this conversation about what is a sleeper cell? What is a sleeper cell? It's basically a group of folks that's trained to engage in asymmetrical warfare. And then once they are activated, then they go and they then complete their mission. But they're dormant until their mission is activated. So that's a scary thought. And then again, I don't know how real that threat is. I definitely do believe that we are vulnerable to terrorism. I want to state that very clearly. To broadcast that sleeper cells are going to be activated, that's an interesting strategy. Perhaps that's more psychological than anything else. But to your point, there will be back and forth. What that back and forth is going to look like is going to be interesting. There is also a threat of Iran finding the Epstein evidence, if it exists, if that's what Israel's holding over Donald Trump.
Questions from a panel on Congo?
Well, thank you so much, Nola, for this information. I was actually really hoping you'd be on tonight, because one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, I hear so many people talking about, well, this is just going to be Iraq all over again. And people who have more expertise in the field says Iran is a little bit different scenario than what happened with Iraq. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Right. So I see how people are drawing those parallels, right? It was the threat of WMD. It was a threat of a so-called unhinged leader. There are parallels. However, Iran is a very different state from Iraq. And one of the things that I've been telling people is Iran is not some small country, where there are just huts out in the out in a desert. That's not what Iran is. We're talking about a very large population, a very old civilization, and a country that also has a strategic partnership with Russia. They signed that in January. And then they also have the backing of China, and we still don't know what that particular triangle is going to look like. So you could have a situation where other Middle Eastern countries figure, okay, who do I partner with? Do I prefer Iran as it exists? Even though they have a tendency of getting, partnering with insurgents from the Houthis to Hezbollah and causing a lot of friction in the region. I need people to understand that Iran, they're not babies, in that they're all cute and cuddly. They are not. But do you want Israel to be the leader of the region? Because what would that then mean for other Middle Eastern countries? So this can unravel in a million different ways. So while I get the parallels, there are stark differences.
Kelly.
Again, thank you for coming on the show. Something that I have seen on, TikTok and other socials, while in jest, I see a lot of, TikTok comedians saying, I'm Black, don't bother me, et cetera, et cetera. It's them people over there, right? And it's interesting because there's a little bit of truth to that. In that, if I recall correctly, many moons ago, when there were hostages in Iran, my understanding is that Iran let go of Black hostages for a reason. If you can expound on that and how there's maybe there's a parallel in regards to that, as far as can we maybe map out exactly what they would do? Are they ones who are considerate of those who are disenfranchised by the United States when they do, or I don't want to say when, but should they do some level of counteractivity? Do they take into consideration those who have also been disenfranchised by the state?
So what Kelly's saying is, if they attack us with some sleeper cells, are they going to hit Black people? That was a roundabout way Kelly asked it. But before you answer,
I'm trying to be politically correct.
We don't do politically correct over here. Just say it. Are they gonna hit Black people? Just go ahead and say it. Now hold up, but I make it plain for the audience. But
thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor, for understanding why I said what I said in the way in which he said it.
We cut to the chase.
He feeling himself.
Hold up.
He got his
No. First of all, I ain't feeling myself. I'm just telling you right now. We cut to the chase. So let's be real clear. We don't do politically correct here. We do Black. But let's be now. Before you answer the question, let me add to what Kelly said. The problem that I have in America is we only reference Iran about 79. What we never talk about is 53. And so 53 set up 79. Iran was a democratically elected leader in Mossadegh. Mossadegh did not like the fact that Anglo-Iranian oil, now known as BP, was getting most of the money. He wants some of the money to come back. The United States overthrew Mossadegh's government, and we put in the Shah of Iran and his death squads. That led to 79. So if people should read Stephen Kinzer's book, Overthrow, which is an amazing book where he talks about that. But I just want us, when we're talking about this, to remember that you can't talk about 79. And this is the book right here, which is a phenomenal book where he details the 13 different times the United States overthrew other governments. So we can't talk about Iran in 79, Anola, if we ignore 53. Go ahead.
Well, when I broke news on your show Friday night and told the world that what was going to happen on Saturday happened, but you was out in your little Mobile, I mentioned to the audience.
No, actually Friday, I was speaking in St. Louis, flying back to Washington, D.C. I was in a Mobile on Saturday. So come on, get your timeline straight, but go ahead.
Anywho, as I told the audience on Friday, all of this is successive, right? And you know, to Roland's point, all of this is a historical narrative that builds on itself. So we don't get here without that incident. We don't get here without a number of incidences in the Middle East, right? And so in terms of does Iran align itself with people who are disenfranchised, I would say yes and no. You have to understand that there are countries and there are decision makers and leaders who know the United States a lot better than we do, and they know how to tug on those levers. You know, my daddy would tell me stories about Vietnam and the flyers that the Viet Cong would drop, you know, from helicopters, or they would find everywhere about, you know, Black people go home. You know, why are you here? Your own country doesn't even want you or love you. So while an argument can be made, yes, Iran is very aware of the role in which, you know, Black folks play in terms of how we vote. Would I say that if they activate a terrorist cell, that they will tell them to make sure not to kill Black people? No, that's not going to happen. So, I've seen the videos and, you know, they make me chuckle, but I really want people to take this very seriously. You know, if you're out, don't think, you know, if you go to a concert and it's just a Black concert, that everybody's going to be safe and okay. I wouldn't make that bet.
I remember, I'll never forget the image when they released the women and the children and the Black people, and that Black Marine was at the top of the staircase in his uniform, and he came off, and it was like, man, them Black people that caused so much hell, go and let that brother go. We're not gonna hold him much longer. But we'll see what happens. We know we got an unstable person in the Oval Office, so folks, be diligent. No, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, no folks, gotta come back. Ooh, I gotta deal with these Black Baptist folk taking this Target money. And I'm about to walk y'all through how the statements that they released are absolutely BS. Oh yeah, we about to unpack this thing. Next on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking faith, family, and fatherhood, from rebellion to rebuilding. Each of us has different things in our toolkit that we need to look at to determine how to establish a way forward. I know going forward is not easy, and most of you, like some people, don't like change. But as we talk about it, we grow together, we love together, we live together, and we laugh together. It gives us an opportunity to discover how to set the pace for what comes next for a healthy, happy, and whole life.
There has to be consistency in their lives that show that you care, for them to know that you're listening, and then that builds trust. And then once you build the trust, they'll begin to open up because you have become their safe place that they have been seeking.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change, Juneteenth.
The day about Blackness. It's a day about freedom. It's also a day about talking about justice delayed. And we are not in the business of justice being denied to us. So stick around. We're going to talk all about the case for reparations.
The push for reparations is not just an economic project, it's a moral project. So if we want to live up to the ideals of this foundation, then reparations has to be something that we pursue.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shoutouts.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, Dave.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, the wealth gap has literally not changed in over 50 years, according to the Federal Reserve. On the next Get Wealthy, I'm excited to chat with Jim Castleberry, CEO of Known Holdings. They have created a platform, an ecosystem to bring resources to Blacks and people of color so they can scale their business.
Even though we've had several examples of African Americans and other people of color being able to be successful, we still aren't seeing the mass level of us being lifted up.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Farquhar, executive producer of Proud Family.
Bruce Smith, creator and executive producer of the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. And you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, I first started hosting my own television show in 2009. That was Washington Watch on TV One. That was September 2009. In November 2013, we launched The Daily Show, News One Now. That ended December 2017. We launched this show September 4th, 2018. So that means for the last 16 years, I have been hosting either a weekly or a daily show. And in that 16-year period, I cannot recall a single time ever getting a press release, getting any type of statement about an initiative planned and organized outside of preaching by the National Baptist Convention USA. Now, I'm not hating. I'm stating the last time I recall ever hearing anything from the National Baptist Convention USA was when Henry Lyons was a president and got in trouble and wife burned the house down and all sorts. I mean, all sorts of stuff. So obviously I was shocked and surprised when they dropped this statement announcing them receiving this well, first of all, they didn't announce the amount, but we later found out it was $300,000. But it's not just even them and 3 other denominations receiving this money from Target. Here was a statement. Pull the statement up. So the statement reads, the National Baptist Convention USA is committed to ensuring that corporations that do business in our communities give back to help rebuild and stabilize neighborhoods. The partnership with Target is based on our shared commitment to community empowerment through small business and entrepreneur development. Investments in education and student support and workforce and skill development unlocks growth across our communities. Next page. The NBC USA has been clear about our expectations, and Target senior leaders have responded in a very positive way. We're working on a 3-year plan that will be very beneficial to the African American community. If I thought Target was not sincere in their commitment to the African American community, if I thought Target was not sincere, I would be the first one on the picket line. Our communication with Target has been at the highest level, and we are continuing the dialogue with the federal government, making deep cuts in education, healthcare, and other essential services. We know the Black church will be called upon to stand in the gap. Our outreach programs, serving both our congregants and the broader community, must be fully resourced to respond to the need. I am proud to say we will answer the call. Target's generous donation will help us provide scholarships, support senior citizens, and invest in entrepreneurship programs and uplift our people in the future. The church must be a beacon that meets the spiritual and physical needs of our members. Through partnership with corporations like Target, we are better positioned to fulfill that mission. The NBC USA remains steadfast and committed to holding corporations accountable to ensure African Americans receive equitable opportunities in contracting, employment, other vital areas of investment. The National Baptist Convention USA, founded in 1886, is the nation's oldest and largest African American religious convention. Over 31,000 churches, 7.5 million members. At Du Bois, Kimber, President, NBC USA. See, I find that to be interesting. I find it to be interesting that Kimber would release this statement. And first of all, let's be real clear. They released the second statement later, saying they were clarifying what was going on. They were clarifying that it wasn't just them receiving the money, that it was actually for Black church denominations. And so in their statement, they said that they were receiving money. They also said that the American National Missionary Baptist Convention of America and the Church of God in Christ, how they formed this coalition, the 3 of them. So that means 3 denominations are sharing $300,000. That's $100,000 each. Now, what I find to be really interesting, reading that statement, go to the 3rd page of that statement. Did y'all see all the stuff they listed? Oh, how the money coming from Target, all this generous support is going to help us. Go to the one before that one. I want y'all to see. Let's see here. Go before that one. Let me see. Okay, let me see here. Now let's go forward. Go forward. Oh my God, how this money is just great. Right here, Target's generous donation will help us provide scholarships, support senior citizens, and invest in entrepreneurship programs, uplift our people. Y'all, you can't do all that for $300,000. So for $300,000, you're gonna do scholarships, invest in senior citizens, and entrepreneurship program? Do y'all know why this is a dumbass statement? Because the reason Target is being boycotted is because they are going against their commitment of investing $2 billion annually in black-owned businesses. I'm sorry, what are black-owned businesses? Those are entrepreneurs. So let me ask y'all a question. $300,000. $2 billion. $2 billion. If you go to Target-Nat'l, which is the website of Pastor Jamal Bryant, you will actually see what the 4 demands are for Target. These 4 demands, because let me be real clear, Pastor Jamal Bryant is not the leader of this boycott. He is one of the leaders of this boycott. Nina Turner's organization, she's going to be on with us in a few minutes. They're one of the leaders. Tamika Mallory, Until Freedom, they're one of the leaders. Nakima Levy Armstrong in Minneapolis, one of the leaders. So there are multiple leaders of the boycott. It's a collective effort. So here are the 4 points of fulfillment of their $2 billion pledge to the black business community. Deposits of $250 million into 23 black-owned banks. The establishment of 10 retail training centers at HBCUs. A full restoration and recommitment to DEI principles. Those are the 4 demands. Now I need somebody to explain to me what credibility does the National Baptist Convention and the National Missionary Baptist Convention of America and the Church of God in Christ, what credibility do they have in advancing the interests of black business? Please, by all means, show me your track record. Because I haven't seen it. Now, here's what I do know. If you go to Target-Nat'l, you will see that there is a partnership with the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc. That is a collection of black-owned, that's black chambers of commerce, which have as its members black-owned businesses. They are part of the Jamal, Nina, Tamika, Nakima coalition targeting Target. That boycott is about advancing the interest of black companies with products on Target's shelves. So I'm confused. Where are y'all coming from when y'all ain't been nowhere around here? Now, what I find to be real interesting is, and I'm gonna tell you what happened, because so they talked about in one of their deals, Willie Wilson, a Chicago businessman. He is the chair of the Economic Development Committee for all 3 groups. I talked to Willie over the weekend. Willie's a good man. Willie's given millions of dollars to various groups. But I also talked to other pastors they were meeting with. And what I was told was that, and Willie said that he met with Jamal in Chicago. I was told that Jamal was coming to Chicago to preach at Rainbow Push. And that several pastors and Jamal met with Willie. And Willie said that Jamal could, and I was told point blank by one of those pastors that Willie was told that the efforts of Jamal and the others was much further along than the Baptist groups. And they should be standing with them. Willie told them that Jamal was welcome to come to them to the Target meetings, but he could not talk. Willie would be leading the negotiations. Jamal said that's unacceptable. Now, here's what I don't understand. How are y'all working on a 3 to 5 year plan with Target on behalf of black people, and y'all ain't came and talked to black people? There is literally a boycott going on. Black folks are not going to Target, not shopping at Target. We are driving people to buy from these black-owned stores directly. We ain't seen y'all. Now, here's what I find to be very interesting. I pulled this story here up. It's from September 27, 2001. And it says a controversial figure, Kimber, still at center of political scene. And so I'm sitting here reading this article, and it says that on Reverend Boyce Kimber's wall hangs photo collages of the minister schmoozing with Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and Bill Clinton. Nearby, there's a large portrait of Martin Luther King Jr., the leader Kimber says he admires the most. And right behind the desk is a matching portrait of Kimber. Quote, Dr. King has always been an idol of mine, and a lot of people looked at King as a troublemaker. But when King was assassinated, he became an American hero. I sometimes try to get my hair cut like him. Now, I find that to be interesting. And the article goes on and it talks about Kimber's history. It talks about long ago being a convicted felon and all different stuff. And I'm not, again, this is all how he's involved in Democratic politics. And this is y'all from 24 years ago. So a lot has happened over that period. Talks about how he said he made lots of mistakes, things, that, and the other, and he was involved in all kind of stuff like that. And so this ain't about him. This is about MLK. See, I was blown away reading this story about how Kimber, now the president of the National Baptist Convention USA, how he likened himself. Guys, come on now. How he likened himself to MLK. And I found that to be very interesting. I found it to be very interesting likening himself to MLK in this article, because if you liken yourself to MLK, how are you not acting like MLK? Because see, last I checked, when MLK was giving his final sermon at Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee, on April 3rd, 1968. Many of us call this the mountaintop speech. And in that particular speech, King talks about their movement. In that speech, King talks about how black folks should be working as a collective. In that speech, he talks about black economics. And what I find to be real interesting is, in the same sermon, he talks about the injustices in Memphis. He talks about how the sanitation workers are being impacted. He talks about what needs to happen in what he called this majestic struggle of what needs to go down. And then he goes on and he talks about what needs to happen and how there needs to be what is called redistributing the pain. Yeah, in that speech, he talks about it because he talks about what the preachers in Memphis were doing. He says, I want to commend the preachers under the leadership of these noble men. Go to my iPad, James Lawson. One who's been in this struggle for many years. He's been to jail for struggling. He's been kicked out of Vanderbilt University for this struggle, but he's still going on, fighting for the rights of his people. Reverend Ralph Jackson, Billy Kyles. I could just go right on down the list, but time would not permit. But I want to thank all of them. I want you to thank them because so often preachers aren't concerned about anything but themselves. And I'm always happy to see a relevant ministry. Let me stop right there. King says, so often preachers aren't concerned about anything but themselves. You got to be concerned about yourself when there's a black boycott going on and you decide to walk into Target and meet with the highest levels, but you don't say who that is. You don't say how many meetings you had. You don't say, and you walk out with a $300,000 check for 3 different denominations talking about you working on some major plan for Black America when you have, as groups, no credibility in this area. Then as I go he talks about the responsibility of preachers and what they must do. But then here's where he gets to the meat of it. MLK says, quote, go to my iPad. Now the other thing we'll have to do is this. Always anchor our external direct action with the power of economic withdrawal. He then says, now we are poor people. Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Never stop and forget that collectively, that means all of us together. I'm going to come back to that. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. Did you ever think about that? After you leave the United States, Soviet Russia, Great Britain, West Germany, France, I could name the others, the American Negro collectively is richer than most nations of the world. We have an annual income of more than $30 billion a year, which is more than all of the exports of the United States and more than the national budget of Canada. Did you know that? He says, boom, right here. That's power right there if we know how to pool it. Earlier, he says, never stop and forget that collectively, that means all of us together. And then he comes back down. That's power if we know how to pool it. You can't talk power if you are the National Baptist Convention, the National Missionary Baptist Convention of America, and the Church of God in Christ, when you decide to go sit with Target and then you don't talk to the boycott leaders. You don't talk to the Black Chamber. You don't talk to Black entrepreneurs. That's why King called it the collective. Then King goes on to say, we don't have to argue with anybody. We don't have to curse and go around acting bad with our words. We don't need any bricks and bottles. We don't need any Molotov cocktails. We just need to go around to these stores. Oh, I'm sorry. He said stores. And to these massive industries in our country and say, God sent us by here to say that you're not treating his children right. And we've come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you are not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. So, boys, Kimber, I need you to explain to me, how is MLK your mentor? How is MLK the person who you revere, but you forgot about this sermon? How is it that you got your hair cut like King, but you ain't cutting a figure like King in 2025? How can you claim that you love Dr. King so much, yet you're unwilling to follow the lead of Dr. King? Because allow me to remind you, Boyce Kimber, as well as the other leaders, get me the names of the other leaders of those denominations. Give me the names of the National Missionary Baptist Convention of America, the Church of God in Christ. I want to see both of their photos. What I need you to understand is, how can you sit here and say you love MLK, but you ain't following MLK? Because, see, MLK in his sermon mentions Reverend Dr. James Lawson. And it was James Lawson who made the phone call to King to come in. Now, when King came to Memphis, the boycott had already been called. The boycott had already started. King came into Memphis in April. The boycott had started a couple of months earlier. You had Bill Lucy and other pastors in Memphis who were all leading the boycott. So MLK didn't walk into Memphis and say, I'm here. I'm meeting with the mayor. I'm meeting with the sanitation company. No. MLK said, I'm going with the leadership. I'm going with them. MLK said, I'm here to support the boycott. I'm here to support the strike. He didn't say, I'm usurping it. He sat down with the leadership of the boycott that existed before he got there. Y'all ain't done that. Boyce Kimber, you have not done that. Your board has not done that. Willie Wilson, you talked to a couple of preachers, and I know two of them. You talked to Pastor Brian, but you ain't talked to the broader group that leading the boycott. There have been no strategy conversations. I know, y'all ain't sat down with other civil rights groups and other black economic groups and said, how can we move as a collective to hold these companies accountable? No, what y'all have just done is take the $300,000 and then give Target cover. Because that's what these companies do. See, it's easy to identify the least expensive Negro. Because if I give y'all 300, I ain't got to give y'all 2 billion. If I hand y'all 300 under the guise of we gonna work on some entrepreneurship programs, I ain't got to support all of the black entrepreneurs who are already enrolled in our program to get their products on our shelves. See, that's the problem with all of this. Y'all are Johnny-come-latelys. I'm serious, and I'm being straight up. Where have y'all been when corporate America made anywhere from $30 to $100 billion in commitments to black America after the murder of George Floyd? I do not recall seeing a single text, press release, email, phone call from anybody with the National Baptist Convention, and your president had my phone number. You can't tell me he didn't know when I put him on a text chain with the likes of the following. See, if y'all want to go there, we can go there. I put your president on a text chain that I have with Al Sharpton, Cornel West, Cliff Albright, Damon Hewitt, Derek Johnson, NAACP, Freddie Haynes, Jamal Bryant, Karen Towns, NAACP, Latasha Brown, Black Voters Matter, Mark Morial, National Urban League, Melanie Campbell, National Coalition on Black Civil Participation, Reverend Ralph West, Bishop William Barber, President Emerita of the Board Emerita Chair of the NAACP, Rosalind Brock. See, y'all, we ain't heard nothing. We ain't heard nothing. When Breonna Taylor was gunned down in Louisville, and the folks for Until Freedom essentially moved to Louisville, working with local groups, we heard nothing from the National Baptist Convention USA. We heard nothing from Kojic. We heard nothing from the Missionary Board. Do y'all want me to continue? When we were sitting here fighting for contracts, when I and others were involved in the Black-owned media collective, and we were calling out the ad industry and these ad agencies for spending $350 billion a year on advertising, and Black-owned media was getting 0.5 to 1%, I don't recall ever hearing from from the National Baptist Convention, from the Missionary Convention, or Kojic. And that was $350 billion. And black-owned media getting 0.5 to 1%. Y'all corporate office is in Nashville. National Baptist Convention USA, your corporate office is in Nashville. When we went down to Nashville to stand with the folks at Tennessee State fighting for funding, where were y'all at? When the Biden administration sent letters to a bunch of states saying that HBCUs had been cheated out of upwards of $20 billion in money that was land grant money that was sent to the states, and that money never got to the HBCUs, where were y'all at? If y'all want, I can do a rundown of all of the black economic battles that we have been waging since the death of George Floyd, the political battles, the social justice battles, the criminal justice reform battles. And all I want to know is, where y'all been at? Kojic. I was there in Memphis. I was there. Pull the video up, April 3rd, 2018, from Mason Temple, when we broadcast live and go to the remarks of Bishop Charles Blake. I was there in Memphis when y'all announced a major initiative for Black America. We had the shirts, I Am a Man. Y'all were working with AFSCME. That was 7 years ago. What happened to that plan? See, y'all gonna make me do a roll call here. So now, y'all ain't being seen nowhere. Y'all ain't sent no press releases. As a body, y'all ain't met with nobody. Let me just go ahead and do this right here. Let me just go ahead and go to Google. I just typed in National Baptist Convention, USA. Go to my iPad. I typed National Baptist Convention, USA into Google. And these are the most recent stories on y'all taking the money and then y'all having an educational conference in Montgomery. Okay. Then in April, y'all tapping a woman for a key leadership role, first time ever, being installed. Then I see this story right here, September 2024, National Baptist Convention facing turbulent times. Then y'all's election and how that was controversy. And let me see right here. New president, high stakes election, national meeting. President of Black Baptists wants to meet with Trump about how we help our poor. Okay, all right. Let's see here. Okay. Outgoing president. Okay, gotcha. All right. I'm trying to look at. I don't see nothing. Okay. Baptist Convention brings thousands to Birmingham. Okay. All right. With a new leadership, nation's largest Black Protestant group confronts existential decline. Okay, all right. Let's see here. Outgoing head of largest Black Protestant group condemns bigotry in U.S., urges voter turnout. That's cute. But Jerry Young never came on this show. I never had him on my TV One show. I never had him on Tom Joyner. I mean, we can just keep going on and on and on. I'm sitting here, okay, Ketanji Brown Jackson spoke to y'all in September. Oh, that's great. And I'm sitting here, look at this here. Look at this here. New National Baptist leader says we will be actively engaged in the political arena. Okay, that's interesting because I don't recall ever seeing any of y'all saying nothing, doing on any black media shows. I'm sitting here and I'm going. Now y'all notice, ain't none of these stories I'm pulling up got anything to do with economic reform, community reform. All I keep seeing are just meetings. Meetings, convening, meetings, convening, meetings. That's all I see. So again, I need somebody. Matter of fact, the most attention y'all got was when Gina Stewart gave a sermon at the Joint National Baptist Convention, and her sermon was taken offline, and there was a lot of controversy. I hope y'all see what's going on here. Y'all see in all of these stories, it's either somebody getting elected, them meeting, or there being a controversy over who they elect. I don't see nothing about an agenda for black people. I don't see nothing about, this is the news section of Google. I don't see nothing. I just see meetings and more meetings. So do y'all now understand why people are shocked and appalled that we ain't heard from y'all on nothing? And all of a sudden, you taking $300,000 from Target and announcing your partnership, and you co-signing how sincere they are? Really? So again, I need somebody to explain to me how taking $300,000 that you're going to use on senior citizen, stuff for senior citizens, scholarships, and entrepreneur programs. Tell me how far that's going to go. The National Baptist Convention has 31,000 churches. That's what they claim. Y'all, the $300,000 in my speech on Friday, I said that comes out to $9.67 a church. Well, now we know they didn't even get $300,000. We now know the National Baptist Convention USA got $100,000. That means with $100,000 divided by 31,000 churches, that comes out to $3.22. Hold on one second. That's $3.22. That's $3.22. Okay, so let me just go ahead and do this here. National Baptist Convention USA, Kojic, and missionaries. Let's see. That's $3.22 per church. That's 100. I got 200. I got 300. I got 350. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 450. 2, 3, 4, 5. 550. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 650. Okay? I got $640 right here. So that means that for your $3.22, that means I can assist, I can assist about 200 of y'all churches. Have your 200 churches email me and let me know who I can send $3.22 to. But see, I'm about to really mess y'all up. One of the things that businesses do to offset their tax liability is they give to charities. We're no different. So last year, end of the year, My accountant goes, hey, that's what you're going to pay in taxes. I'm like, I ain't trying to see Uncle Tab save all that money. So we then gave money to charity. Do y'all know that I gave charitable interest almost the same amount of money as these three are getting from Target? Target made $107 billion last year. We ain't make not 5 billion. We ain't make 5 billion. Y'all took $300,000 from a company that made $107 billion. We are demanding Target honor its commitment of $2 billion to Black-owned businesses. And y'all took $300,000? If they gave an award for the worst negotiation ever, this will qualify. You talking to a company that made $107 billion, and you were so excited about $300,000 that your ass sent out a press release? Man, let me explain. When I was on the board of the National Association of Black Journalists, been on that 3 times, I'm running again. Somebody gave us $10,000. And we had some board members who were just excited. I'm sitting there and I'm hearing the hoopla, but I ain't really paying it on mine. And one of the board members said, Roland, you heard the good news? I was like, what? They said, this company gave us $10,000. And I went, okay. And they were like, what's wrong? I said, I'm sorry. Y'all think I'm about to get excited about $10,000? I said, no, I can't do that because it's $10,000. And y'all check this out. I then looked around the room, and then it dawned on me. The folk who were on the board, it probably were maybe 2 other people other than me that had ever negotiated a six-figure salary. See, if you ain't never negotiated a 6-figure salary, $10,000 is a lot of money to you. Now again, Willie Wilson's a great man. He's a businessman. He's a millionaire. He's a philanthropist. But I'm sorry, Willie, $300,000 is an abomination. If the National Baptist Convention, if the Missionary Convention, and the COGIC, if y'all had any honor, decency, or integrity, y'all would send that money back to Target. Y'all would then apologize to Black America for negotiating for a crumb and trying to convince us it's a meal. And then what y'all need to do is have your leadership. Y'all can pick the city. It can be at your office in Nashville. It could be in Atlanta. It could be in Florida, DC. I don't give a damn where it is. And y'all need to sit down with the people who are leading this boycott. And you need to learn how to properly leverage your influence and your power. Because that's what King did. That's what King understood about how to leverage one's power for change. What y'all are doing by taking $300,000 is you are selling out Black America. You are saying to you are saying to corporate America that black folks can be bought off with $300,000. What you are saying to corporate America is y'all don't need to listen to them folk over there launching the boycott. Y'all listen to us preachers because we speak for the people and we can speak more. So if you give us some much needed money, then we'll just do our own thing. Y'all, they have no interest in sitting down with the folk who are part of the Target strategy group. Not one time this weekend did they call or email. No, what they did is they had some of their loudmouths talking trash on Facebook, and this one preacher was talking, he was trying to dog me how nobody watched my show. It's almost 6,000 people watching me right now. I ain't even gonna say his name because he ain't that important. I guarantee you he didn't preach to 600 this Sunday. But he gonna sit here and try to challenge me? Dog, you got the wrong one. It's more than 6,000 folk listening, watching me right now. And most of y'all in the National Baptist Convention and Kojic and the missionary, y'all ain't speaking to 6,000 sitting in your pews at that moment. Y'all, this is not right. This is not proper. This is not how black people moved when boycotts were launched. We did not cross the picket line unless we were negotiating, and didn't nobody ask y'all to negotiate nothing. Y'all better do right by us. Because I'm telling you this right now, National Baptist Convention USA, I'm telling you this right now, Kojic, I'm telling you this right now. Y'all think I'm playing? Y'all think I'm playing? I'm talking about all three denominations. National Missionary Baptist Convention of America, Kojic, and National Baptist Convention of America, USA. I'm gonna hit y'all every day. I'm gonna talk about y'all every single day. $300,000. It is estimated that black people were spending $12 million. What, a day in Target nationally? And y'all took $300,000. Literally. And I ain't fronting. Among the groups involved in the boycott, we could have easily sent y'all $300,000. If y'all need the money that bad, we could have sent y'all the money. But here's what I don't understand. How are you the National Baptist Convention USA, you got 31,000 churches, you claim you got 7.5 million members, and you broke? Because you don't take 300,000 and split it three ways if you ain't broke. Because if your cut is 100,000, that ain't nothing. That's awful. It's absolutely awful. Here's a little bit of Pastor Jamal Bryant speaking at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church on yesterday. Then I'm going to talk to Nina Turner right after this. Play it.
For the last 18 weeks, we've been boycotting Target. And said there's no way in the world we going into Target where black people were spending $12 million a day. We said to Target, you got to do 4 things in order for us to walk into that store. Is that you got to invest $250 million in the black banks. Number 2, you got to honor what you said, the George Floyd family, and invest $2 billion in the black business. Number 3, you got 27 7 of these stores on white campuses, but not one at a HBCU. You ought to partner with 6 HBCUs with their business programs so that young people will be able to scale their business and do a national franchise. We said to you that you've got to reimagine what DEI is, and absolutely 16 weeks later, you didn't deliver to us. Even after we made your stock drop, even after the CEO salary was cut by 42%, even after you lost $12 billion in valuation, but you thought you was gonna go around me and go to the National Baptist Convention and sell out for $300,000. Are you crazy to think that we gonna sell out for chump change? You must not know who we are. Our Father is rich in houses and land. In 1961, the National Baptist Convention was meeting, and they did not want to support a young preacher from Georgia named Martin Luther King. They said, "You speaking too loud about civil rights. We don't want you to do all of that. Just preach and sit down. Don't march. Don't make a stand. Don't challenge the government." And as a consequence, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Target-Nat'l walked out of that church and started the Progressive Baptist Convention, where we come in full circle. And I need you to know it wasn't just the National Baptist of America. It was also the National Baptist of USA. It was also the Missionary Baptist. It was also the Church of God in Christ. And the $300,000 was not per institution. They gave them Negroes $75,000 for them to just sit down and roll over. Not me, Jack. I called the president of the National Baptist Convention. I said, "Rev, we can't go out like that. We are selling ourselves short." He said, "Jamal, give me a couple of days. Let me get the board together." I said, "Bro, you can get your board together, but Sunday morning I'm going to the mic and I got to say something, and you got to give me something to work with." He said, "Pastor Bryant, give me a couple of days and I will do it." I said, "You got 1 week to send me in writing that the Baptist Convention stands with the boycott, stands with the oppressed, stands with the marginalized, stands with the nameless and faceless people who are on the front line." $75,000. Baptist Convention, I'll write you a check. You can't sell yourself out for $75,000. Something has got to break. Over the last couple of weeks, Target been playing in my face. Been hiring internet influencers to go online, rappers and artists and athletes to play and to broadcast outside of Target and in Target, thinking we ain't gonna say nothing. But you ain't got to talk directly to me. All you got to do is watch the rerun of The Color Purple. Until you do right by me, nothing you do is gonna work. We will break Target, we will break Dollar General, and we will break any company that doesn't honor our dignity while they trying to take our dollar. The devil is a lie. Something gotta break. I do not have ire with the black church, because I recognize the fingerprints of satanic principality. It is the intention of the enemy for us to fight each other. I am not declaring war on any of those Baptist conventions. I am declaring war of the spirit of division. Come on, y'all ain't saying nothing to me. White supremacy takes delight at us fighting one another. But if we learn how to stand together as one, we are a undefeatable force. The old Negro spiritual was walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Do you understand how powerful we would be if black people would just stick together and stop stabbing each other in the back and live with love of Jesus Christ?
Folks, joining me right now is Nina Turner. She's the founder of We Are Somebody. You go to wearesomebody.org. They put this graphic here. I go to my iPad. I put them on blast Friday, those black denominations. After that press release, they put this on social media. They're handling Strike for All at the Target boycott continues. And I made this point. I'm going to make it again. I'm going to make it again. I need people to understand that Jamal Bryant is not the leader of the Target boycott. Nina Turner is not the leader of the Target boycott. Tamika Mallory is not the leader of the Target boycott. Nakima Levy Armstrong is not the leader of the boycott. These are all individuals who are part of the Target boycott. And that's important, Nina, because we understand how folk have to work together, because one group, one organization, one denomination can't do it. But and guess what? Then people do different things. And so Nakima and her group in Minneapolis are doing their thing. You, Tamika, and Jamal are doing y'all thing, and other folks are doing their thing. But what cannot happen is when you have these groups meeting under the guise of they represent millions of black people negotiating on behalf of black people, and they ain't talked to black people.
That's exactly right, Ro. I mean, just listening to your soliloquy, you laying it out between you and Pastor Brian. I mean, I was just, hopefully your crew don't think I'm crazy, because I was amening and almost shouting. We got to tell the truth, and we have to expose this. Now, anybody can be redeemed. And I am hoping that the National Baptist Convention USA and all the others who were involved in this will have a moment, an epiphany moment, and ask for that forgiveness. As you said, I mean, you all up in my notes. I feel the same way, that they should apologize to the black community, give that money back, and join forces with us so that we can be a greater and stronger force. Your point about this movement is much bigger than any one individual. Certainly the spark was led by certain individuals, but the movement itself wouldn't be as successful as it is in terms of what Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant enumerated in terms of the CEO cuts, the traffic cuts, the stock, all of that. That is because millions of people in this country, sparked by black people, have decided that they are not going to go to Target. And so this is a grassroots bubbling up all across this country.
Yeah, and the thing here is that people have to, again, understand no boycott is successful without the people. None. So you need the people. So if you make a move like the National Baptist Convention USA, like Kojic, like the Missionary Group of America, then you need the people, not one person, not a couple of folks negotiating. On what authority are you actually negotiating on behalf of the people? What offends me is the statement they put out talking about you got $300,000 and how you gonna use that to help senior citizens, scholarships, and entrepreneurial programs, when the very boycott is about advocating for existing black-owned businesses. You don't need to go create an entrepreneurial program when there's one right now.
And we're also a program that's going to run out of money. I mean, as you said, even before you divide it, that $300,000 was really comes up to really nothing.
$100,000 a denomination.
It's worse than Judas and the 30 pieces of silver. I mean, at least Judas even got a little more than what they've gotten. But even if we put that aside, $300,000 for the type of programs that you're naming is not enough. We're trying to build generational wealth here, not the penny here and a penny there. It really makes no sense whatsoever that they would do that. But Ro, you and Dr. Brian, look, y'all done took it to the streets. It is my hope that this does not become a personality driven, that the people involved in this will understand that they made a mistake, ask for forgiveness, let's get redemption, and let's come together and do something real for our people.
Congo, that's why I read what King said on April 3rd, 1968, when he talked about how we must move as a collective, how we must work together, and how we must practice economic withdrawal. You're on mute. You're on mute. All right, you almost there? Okay, keep talking. All right, y'all figure out, Congo, figure out audio. Kelly, can you hear me, Kelly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Kelly, I'll pose that question to you. Go ahead.
Sure. So, I mean, you said so much, right? But at the end of the day, I just feel like they didn't even get off cheap. They just re-enslaved themselves, right? Because exactly what does $300K get you when I know a church mother that spends that on a half a convocation in Kojic, right? You know, the economic value today of the 5 loaves and 2 fish is worth more than the $300K. You know, and I'm not even trying to be funny or facetious. Like, I literally see more money on 10 people max at one of these conventions. You spend more on that on speakers at your conventions and your gatherings and your conferences, right? Like, it does. Nothing about this makes sense unless I'm missing a plot that was not in that press release, right? They, again, like Pastor Bryant said, you know, you got to give me something to work with before I call you out. And they haven't said anything yet. It's been a week, you know, like it's sad. It is sad that you think that we can be bought that easily, if at all, right? Like, I know a lot of people. I was not much of a Target person, but I know a lot of people who religiously went to Target to shop and have actively avoided Target for the reasons that you have stated, that Pastor Jamal Bryant have stated, that many others who have been advocating for this boycott have stated. And now one of those reasons did the NBC line up, right? They didn't mention any of those things in the press release. Not really. You know, they gave us a lot of lip service, a lot of shallow sermon speak, as if that was going to speak to a spirit of resilience and rebellion and justice. And for them to think that this is going to slide, it is insulting to those who go to church. It is insulting to Christians.
Right.
It is insulting to everybody who advocate for this boycott.
Congo, Kojic has 12,000 members. The National Missionary Baptist Convention of America, they got 300. So if you add them all up, that's 43,300 churches. The amount of money they got comes out to $6.92 per church. Come on now. There's nothing real or Congo, do you realize that I started this show with $350,000 of my own money? I started this show with more money than they got from Target. Man, come on, dog.
You know, you could tell your supporters to just write that check to $6 and send it out to these different churches, and they'll be fine. I mean, the fact that the National Baptist Convention feels like they can do this to us, just kind of throw the wool over our heads, and the fact that Target thinks that they can do this. I'm so happy that this has been sustained. I remember when Sister Nina came on the show to talk about the organization of her aspect of the boycott, and they just think that we're going to do stuff temporarily. They think that we're going to break. They don't realize what they have activated, and they feel like they can go to various people, take a picture here and there, have the influencers and so on and so forth. Going off of Kelly's point, like Target was my favorite store. I was that dude. And part of it was because of their main commitment to diversity. Now I drive past 2 Targets every day in what I'm doing right now. And so the National Baptist Convention and these other churches, they got to come around because some of their own members got to be speaking up. Some of their own members got to be seeing this. And Target, just straight up shame on you, because in every way, shape, or form, you are showing how unserious you were about your commitment to DEI once Trump got in, which basically shows that you were never committed in the first place. Because if you're not going to practice your values when they get challenged, they're not values, they're hobbies. And so you just thought that, I'll just be down with diversity right now. And then someone else comes along, I'm going to change my strategy. Now you better get back in line, because too many of us are going to keep falling out of line with you. And I also thank you, Roland, for putting all of these churches and other groups and individuals on notice, because you put this out on Friday. I was watching your feeds. I haven't seen a single other news outlet cover this up until this point.
Nina, this is real simple. First of all, this ain't personal. This ain't personal against nobody in either one of those conventions. This is a people thing. This is a trust thing. This is a credibility thing. How in the world can a national boycott be launched? Target has acknowledged the boycott has impacted its sales, its stock price, all of these things. And these so-called these black religious leaders who are not black business leaders, they decide we're going to go meet with Target and we working on a 3 to 5 year community revival plan. The revival plan is already there. Put black products on your shelves, spend $2 billion annually with black folks, put retail centers at HBCUs, deposit in black banks. I'm sorry. What agenda do y'all have that's greater than that one? I would love to see.
They don't know, Ro. And another point, to reimagine diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they really going against Target right now. They would rather go around and spend all this money, time, and energy to go around the leaders. When I say leaders, those of us who sparked the national boycott. We certainly are not the fire, but the spark, rather than to do the right thing. Not only have the Baptist, National Baptist Convention and others who were involved, it's sloppy and it's sad. And they don't have to recreate it. We already know. And then what you gonna do with $300,000? You can't do anything. You have illustrated that. Others, there was a young man on Instagram, I think, I forgot who sent that to us, but he was breaking it down too. A lot of the people in the black community are really upset. They feel betrayed. And so these religious leaders, if they want to stay true and have any type of integrity or regain integrity and credibility, they are going to have to apologize and come around. But don't sell black people out. And the point about Target, how dare you? But they going to learn today. They're saying they're going to up around and find out. They are going to learn today that these tricks are not going to work. They did the same thing when they went to go see Mama D, Mama Dolores Huerta, the esteemed activist in the civil rights movement on the Hispanic side out in California. They did the same. CEO flew in to see her and tried to divide and conquer her as a Hispanic woman from the black community. And she told them to kick rocks. Now, if Dolores Huerta could tell Target to kick rocks once the CEO flew in, he flew all around Dr. Bryant. He flew all around Tamika Mallory, flew all around me, and went straight to Mama D, had a meeting with her to try to get her on his side. And she told him the black community is leading this boycott, and you got to go see one of them 3 folks. Not only did he do that, he tried to claim that our Hispanic sisters and brothers, or maybe they are, he said the Hispanic sisters and brothers are spending more money in Target. And so therefore we should be attentive to you guys than to black folks. And Mama D's daughter said to them that black folks who are the descendants of enslaved people deserve much more. See, they couldn't. So Ro, I'm trying to understand this. If Mama D and her daughter to say that to the president of Target, but you got black religious leaders who sold out for $300,000. You have folks in the LGBTQ plus community in the Pride getting $50,000 a year from Target. These small organizations said, we don't want your money. After they broke the covenant, they said, we don't want your money. But yet you have black religious leaders with conventions that span millions of people, and they can't even stand up to these folks. There's something wrong, Ro. And it is an abomination against the past, the present, and the future, because that is how we as black people must move. However, there is redemption. So they can apologize and reset this table, bro. It ain't over. They can do the right thing.
Yeah, again, it's not, look, I have no problem having them come on the show. We can talk about it. We can walk through it. They need to be sitting down with leadership behind this boycott. And as a part of that, send the money back. Send the money. And here's the whole deal. If you're the National Baptist Convention USA, and if you Kojic, and if you are the National Missionary Baptist Convention, if y'all need the money, we will take up an offering.
Hey.
If y'all need the $300,000 to fund operations, we'll take up an offering.
Okay, that's right.
If that's what y'all need. But just be honest. If you just say, yo, we broke. That's the whole real deal there. Now, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow. I want to go ahead and show this real quick. I got this late today, and we are going to deal with this tomorrow. 40 former, go to my iPad, 40 former black McDonald's franchise operators are aligning with the call to boycott McDonald's. And so it says more than 40 black former franchisees are suing the fast food giant over discriminatory practices and policies that forced them out of the system. We're going to be talking with them on Wednesday's show. And so we're just going to keep y'all abreast of that. And so, and McDonald's is also one of those companies that reneged on their commitment, their DEI commitments. They made some commitments to black-owned media when we were talking with them. And there was a lot of back and forth. And I had black franchisees who were speaking on my behalf and others with the Black-Owned Media Alliance. And we were supposed to do a 3-year advertising commitment at McDonald's. It lasted just 1 year. Then they were like, well, that was just it. It was kind of like, well, hold up, that's supposed to be 3 years. And so all of that, and trust me, we know McDonald's market share of black folks. We know how much McDonald's black people eat. So Nina, last point here that I need the audience to...
I don't want to forget this.
Go ahead.
I want to thank you too for your incredible courage to call this out right on the spot. And although you're not making it personal, some of the preachers whose feelings are hurt, I won't say all, but the guy who came after you, like you said, we won't mention his name, and tried to malign you, and all that kind of stuff ain't cool. He could say, listen, I don't agree, but no, he did try to make it personal, and some of these people are trying to make it personal. So I just want to shout you out as a colleague and a revolutionary for you not being afraid to call them out, because it has to be done. And the other point about these celebrities better get a clue. Now, if they don't know what's going on, they need to pick up the phone too. But it is absolutely embarrassing what they're doing as well. And they got a lot of money, and they still gonna sell out their community. We need more Muhammad Ali type celebrities. We need some more Nina Simones.
Nina Simones, Ruby Dee, Ossie Davis, Dick Gregory, Harry Belafonte, Diane Carroll. We need more Sidney Poitiers. And on the white side, more Tony Bennett's, more James Garners. It's folk that Joan Baez, so we can go there as well. But see, folks,
Susan Sarandon, Danny Glover, who's still, these people are still here making sacrifices, bro. And then we see them making videos inside and outside of Target like this is cool. We look weak, we look cheap, it's embarrassing. actually.
And what I want to do here, it's a couple of posts I want to show. Give me 1 second, y'all, because I just remembered I had these. And you've had some other preachers who have been willing to stand up, who made statements, posted these various things, which are important. I'm going to read this one right here. This is Pastor Dwight McKissick. He is out of Arlington, Texas, and this is what he posted on Facebook. He said the National Baptist Convention needs to seek common ground with Roland Martin and Jamal Bryant, not battleground. He said Target not only reversed their prior affirmative DEI policies, but has reneged on fulfilling a $2 billion pledge towards economic development in the Black business community. History shouldn't record that the National Baptist Convention circumvented a $2 billion pledge in exchange for $300,000. What's at stake? Deposits of $250 million in 23 Black-owned banks, establishment of 10 retail training centers at HBCUs, a full restoration of recommitment to DEI practices and principles, a fulfillment of Target keeping their $2 billion pledge. Standing together, we can make it happen. Splintering, we lose. I would hope that calmer minds would prevail and brethren will dwell together in unity and not care who gets the credit, but work towards a strategy where we all win, not just some win who are willing to settle for crumbs from a rich man's table. The NBC needs to rethink their strategy, attempting to discredit and devalue a distinguished Black, independent, and highly effective journalist, and not work in harmony towards fulfilling a broader vision that could produce a much greater harvest and benefit the masses, rather than a minimal amount that would have minimal impact. MLK had a much broader vision and impacted the masses, so should the NBC.
Hey, man, bro, what about the one where it was, about 20 preachers? You got that one?
Yeah, so you've had, yet another group, let me pull that up, a group of pastors that released their statement with regards to all of this. Let me find that.
Thanks to them, bro. While I'm looking for that, I want to say the Freedom Budget for All Americans, which you and I talked about briefly. You know, that's something worth holding on to. Asa Philip Randolph, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Bayard Rustin. People understanding that part of the civil rights movement's calculus was not just voting rights and not just civil rights, but it was economic rights and viability and respect. And Bayard were the architects of the Freedom Budget for All Americans. I want our folks, your viewers, to go and look it up. It was a masterpiece to eradicate poverty in 10 years in the United States of America from 1966 to 1976. Next year will be the 60th year anniversary of the architect of one of the greatest economic plans that this country has ever seen in terms of Black folks, not only looking out for themselves, but looking out for everybody else. Bayard Rustin once said that this country never has and never will do anything solely for the Negro. This is why we call it the Freedom Budget for All Americans. It was to gain racial justice for Black folks and economic justice for all folks. Those are the kinds of things, Ro, that we need to be coming together, fighting for, so that the National Baptist Convention and other religious institutions and also our businesses are not vulnerable to attacks like this, because we are building up a solid wealth base.
Absolutely. I want to read two more here. This is from Brianna Mitchell. This is from Facebook. As the former chairman of the board of directors of NBC USA Inc., I want to warmly welcome and express my genuine excitement about the transformative changes currently taking place without a convention. He makes some other different statements. He said, but I'm concerned that this week, during the Congress of Christian Education, the National Baptist Convention USA accepted a donation of $300,000 from Target. While such partnerships can offer valuable resources for our mission, it is important to critically examine the implications of accepting funds from corporations influenced by political policies that may conflict with our values. Target's recent policy adjustments, particularly in the context of the Trump administration's DEI directives, raise questions about corporate motives and commitments. As a faith-based organization rooted in principles of justice and integrity, we must ask ourselves, does accepting this contribution align with our long-term mission and ethical standards? We should approach such partnerships with discernment, ensuring that our financial support does not inadvertently endorse policies or practices that undermine the very communities we serve. Our focus must remain on authentic advocacy, social justice, and fostering meaningful change, values that are not solely measured by monetary support. The recent customer backlash against Target stems primarily from the company's decision to scale back its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. This shift included the termination of programs supporting Black employees and Black-owned businesses, is a retreat from their commitment to racial justice and community empowerment. Such actions raise critical questions about corporate accountability and the alignment of business practices with social responsibility. We cannot speak truth to power and then have our hands out for those very powers that continue to suppress and oppress our people. True leadership requires consistency and integrity, standing boldly against injustice while also holding ourselves accountable to the principles we uphold. If we are committed to justice, equity, and the liberation of our communities, our actions must reflect those values at every level. Only then can we genuinely foster the change and empowerment our people deserve. Now, there was a letter that Nina was referencing, and this is it right here. Black clergy response to Target's attempt to silence Target fast. The Black church is not for sale. We are deeply disappointed that amid the success of Target Fast, which has contributed to a 10% drop in foot traffic and a significant decline in Target stock value, Target has attempted to purchase the Black church's silence with a $300,000 payment to the National Baptist Convention USA. Equally unacceptable is the decision by the National Baptist Convention USA, one of the nation's largest African-American church denominations, to accept this payment. Their willingness to serve as a conduit for corporate damage control without transparency, without consulting the broader faith community, and without securing systemic commitments from Target represents a betrayal of prophetic responsibility. Accepting a check while the larger Black community is engaged in principled protest is not partnership, it is complicity. In response to the attack on public and private diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, Target withdrew its $2 billion commitment to Black community economic development made in 2020 following the murder of George Floyd. The Black faith community responded with a 40-day Lenten season Target fast. Target's action signals to corporations that our institutions can be cheaply bought, that a fraction of what promise can purchase silence from some of our most trusted voices. That is not only morally troubling, it is strategically disastrous. The impact of Target's withdrawal runs deep and includes sowing distrust of Black clergy, loss of billions of equity dollars, economic development, educational advancement, and other opportunities. Instead of engaging in meaningful dialogue or committing to long-term measurable change, Target has resorted to a familiar route: divide and conquer. This transparent attempt to undermine the credibility of the Black church will not succeed as Black church leaders pledge to escalate what was a 40-day Target fast into a year-round campaign until justice is done. The prophetic tradition of the Black church is not for sale. Let us be clear. This is not just about economics. It is about equity, integrity, and the responsibility of corporate power to answer to communities that have long sustained it. The Black economic fast is not a call for charity, it is a demand for change. The fast continues. We stand in unity, committed to keeping the main theme the main theme. We urge faith leaders, consumers, and community advocates to remain vigilant, unified, and unwavering in purpose. Do not be swayed by symbolic gestures. Join us in holding corporations accountable, not just in words, but in measurable actions. And the signers, right here, you will see Reverend Tracy Blackman, Reverend Dr. Amos Brown, Reverend Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, Dr. Iva Carruthers, Bishop Leah Dowtry, Reverend Dr. Cynthia Hale, Bishop Vashti McKenzie, Pastor Michael McBride, Bishop Rudolph McKissick, Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III, Bishop W. Darren Moore, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III, Reverend T. DeWitt Smith Jr., Reverend Dr. Gina Stewart, Bishop Talbert Swan, Reverend Dr. Jacqueline Thompson, Reverend Mark Thompson, and Reverend Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner. Those are the preachers that signed this particular statement here. And the last point that I will make is that, you saw me when I read there where Bishop Kimber said that, Reverend Dr. Kimber said that he wanted to meet with Trump about their attacks on the poor, their agenda on the poor, okay? So here's the question that I have. This is the question that I have for the National Missionary Baptist Convention. This is the question that I have for Kojic. And this is the question that I have. Let's see here. I'm just going to pull them up. So this here is the leader of the National Missionary Baptist Convention of America, Reverend Dr. Anthony Sharp. He went to Bishop, and so he's out of Texas. So that's Reverend Dr. Anthony Sharp. So we should pull up the leader of National Baptist Convention. This is Boyce Kimber. Y'all had the video. Pull his video up, please. I'm doing this for a reason. That's who he is. And so then you have, of course, you have the Church of God in Christ. They're one of the other three that actually received this money. Go to my iPad. Jay, the presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ, is J. Drew Sheard, presiding bishop and chief apostle. So he leads the church. So here's the question I have for the three of them. Since they chose to accept this money from Target, since they chose to say they stand up on behalf of black people, here's my question. Bishop Sheard, Bishop Sharp, Pastor Kimber, are we going to see three of y'all next Monday? Go to my iPad. Are y'all going to come to Washington, D.C. as the leaders of three of these denominations? And are you going to stand with Bishop William Barber and the Poor People's Campaign and Repairs of the Breach as they have their Moral Mondays in D.C. to stand against this bill that attacks the poor, that attacks the disenfranchised, and enriches the wealthy? Are y'all going to send statements of support saying you stand with Bishop Barber against this so-called big, beautiful bill that is a big, beautiful lie? I have yet to see the National Baptist Convention issue a statement against this document that is anti-poor. I have yet to see Kojic. I have yet to see a statement. If y'all did, somebody email it to me. The Missionary Convention, I ain't seen y'all's either. So if y'all could send out a press release on getting Target's money, I want to know, are y'all going to stand with Bishop Barber? Because we're going to be broadcasting live next Monday from the Capitol across from the Supreme Court. So I want to know, where are these church leaders, these denomination leaders, when it comes to this bill that has a negative impact on the poor and working class folk in this country? That's what I want to know, Nina, and I'm waiting to see.
Amen, bro. Hey, I'm a church girl. When the sermon has been preached, amen, amen, and amen. Redemption is possible, and they need to come on, jump on this, and get redeemed real quick.
All they got to do is call and email. But let me be clear. If you don't, and if you stand by this, the heat will continue. And I wasn't playing Friday when I said, I'll show up at your churches and walk right and sit on the front row to look you in the eye and say, how dare you sell out black people? In the words of our man, Joe Morton from Scandal, don't make me angry. Nina, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Thanks a bunch.
We're gonna keep working. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Folks, that is it for us. Tomorrow, we're going to have for you the recap of the Virginia Democrats at the Commonwealth Gala. Tomorrow, we'll also talk about, of course, the boycott being called for when it comes to McDonald's. It's a whole lot going on. I just want black people to remember, y'all, we got power. We got the ability to change things. We got the ability to move folk to action, but we got to be able to use that power in a collective way. And so Nina said the church, she said the sermon has been preached, but now it's time for our offering. If y'all want to support the work that we do at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network, y'all, ain't nobody else doing what we doing, covering the stories that we cover. And so your donations are critically important for us to continue continue to do our work. The shows that we are launching, bring that music down, it's too loud. The shows that we are launching, things that we are doing, so your support is absolutely important. So please join our efforts to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is simple. If 20,000 of our fans on average every year contribute $50 each, that's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. That raises $1 million. It goes a long way for us to fund what we're doing. We just signed a new 8-year lease. Here, our rent went up by more than $10,000. So that's an additional $120,000 in expenses every year because the rent increased. And so we appreciate if you support our work. If you want to contribute via Cash App, here is the QR code right here. Use this QR code to click to contribute via Cash App. You can use that for credit cards as well. If you want to send a check and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Syracuse, New York. If y'all are in Syracuse, in the area of Syracuse, New York, I will be there tomorrow speaking at the NAACP's Freedom Fund Dinner in Syracuse. I look forward to being there with you. And so my speech is at 5:30 tomorrow. And so I'm going to be there. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Get the audio version I read on Audible. Please get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag. You can get that, our t-shirts, hoodies, wall art, mugs, all that stuff. Go to rolandmartin.creator-spring.com. If you got your stuff and you have not received, you bought it, have not received it, send us an email so we can help facilitate that. Also, please go to our site, shop.blackstarnetwork.com. You can buy products from Black-owned companies that support our Black-owned companies as much as we can. Go to shop.blackstarnetwork.com. And of course, if you want to listen to our audio, you can get, of course, watch us on YouTube, listen to our podcast, the audio podcast through iHeartRadio Network. We're on all platforms. So check that out. And of course, download the app Fanbase. And if you want to support Fanbase, $12.4 million has been raised. You're trying to raise $17 million. Go to startengine.com/Fanbase to invest. Let me shout out, first of all, these are the folks, St. Louis County I spoke to. This is the Juneteenth shirt that I have right here. I appreciate that. Hey, y'all, switch cameras. When I spoke in Charleston, West Virginia, I spoke there on Thursday. So the president of the HBCU there presented me with some gifts, and so presented me with this straw hat, which is perfect when I go play golf. Of course, gave me this bag here. This is West Virginia State University. They are the Yellow Jackets, and so gave me this nice tote bag right here as well. Let's see, are these some coasters? I know it's real heavy, so these probably are some coasters. Yep, those are coasters, and so I appreciate these coasters. Let me see here. This is, it gave me a keychain, got this here. I got the West Virginia State water bottle right here, one of two HBCUs in West Virginia. And so, of course, they gave me this phenomenal crew neck shirt here. First of all, y'all got some great colors, black and gold, so that's perfect. And then, of course, this hat right here. And then, and when it's summertime, of course, they gave me this wonderful T-shirt here, West Virginia State, the jacket. So I look forward to being invited to come to campus, speaking on campus, and coming back to Charleston, West Virginia. So again, let me thank our president and West Virginia State for gifting me these items when I spoke in Charleston on Thursday. Folks, that's it. I will see y'all guys tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, where we keep it real, we keep it black, unapologetic, and unfiltered.